I'm Bambi Francisco, and I'm speaking with Howard Hartenbaum. He's a VC at August Capital, which recently raised a $650 million fund. We're continuing our discussion, and in this segment, we're going to talk about how one gets funded by Howard. So, Howard, how does someone get funded by you?
So, I'm really interested in the people that are involved in a company, and you'll hear from venture capitalists very similar stories: big market, core technology, defensible position. But for me, the biggest focus is on the people, because you have to have the other things, but the hardest thing is to have the right people there. So if people want to pitch, always the best thing is to get an introduction from somebody that I know, somebody who actually knows them as well. As an example, I was driving up this morning to this meeting, and I get a phone call out of the blue from a great lawyer that I know named Steve Venuto, and he says, "Hey, I've got this great company for you, Howard. They're my client, and the guy's really great, and he's really fun to work with." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll meet him." So, just to have somebody that I know and trust and think who's a great guy call me up and say, "You should meet these guys," and then you're in the door. And then the whole financing is more along, who are you and why are you doing this, and what's your background and why do you care? And I can think of 100 things that kind of set me off negatively.
Let's hear them.
Well, this could go on for a very long time.
No, I think the entrepreneurs need to hear that.
All right, so I'll just list a few. So, one that sets me off is when you ask an entrepreneur why they're doing something, and their answer is, because I want to make a lot of money.
Do they really say that?
Every now and then an entrepreneur will say that, or they'll say, well, of course I want to build a great company, but the real reason is it's my turn to make a lot of money. And I've seen all my friends make money, and I know I'm just as good as them, and I'm going to make... And you hear that sometimes, and that, I'm sure
they
most...
tend to be older or younger?
It's all over.
Okay.
So another one is you ask guys why they're creating a company, and they say, well, because we all sat around in a room and thought, we want to build a company, so what good ideas can we come up with? And that's not so interesting. What I want to hear is guys who have been doing something that's related to that space or exactly in that space, who are experts on it. They understand the problems in it. They understand the players in it, and they come up with a way of doing something that's better. Not just sitting around in a room saying, we're three smart guys out of Google and we want to start a company. So what are we going to do? And then first we thought about the telephony space, and then we decided to think about social networking space, and then we decided... And you hear that, and you just kind of say to yourself, 3 months in, you're going to decide, you're going to learn about your business and realize it's not that attractive, and then think, well, what can we do next? And that doesn't seem like a good direction for me. I like entrepreneurs that are not singletons. I like groups of people, generally 2 or 3 people together, and I like to see how they interact, and I like to say, are they going to be fun to deal with for the next few years? Because once you put the money in, it's like a marriage. You're in, you're hooked.
That's true.
So the trick is to figure that out beforehand.
So there's you're interested in consumer internet communications as well. Skype was one of you were the first investor basically in Skype. What is there a certain area? I mean, you would stay away from clean tech probably, but isn't there something that's of interest?
So August has a fund. We'll do anything. We don't say we do clean tech, but if something really interesting with good technology came in the door, we would happily consider it.
Okay.
For me personally, and the 2 investments I made, Swoopo is an e-commerce consumer internet play. Pixaza is an infrastructure play for monetization on the web. I would not consider it a consumer internet company. I worked with, before joining August, I worked with Bill Draper for many years, and we just backed lots of really great entrepreneurs, and some were in consumer internet, and some were in semiconductors, and some were in EDA, and some were in consumer hardware or enterprise hardware or software as a service, and have done a wide range of things. Personally, I tend to like stuff that consumers touch. Okay. I worked for Honda as a human factors engineer for many years, and I like physical products. I like interaction with products. Okay. So I tend to lean towards consumer stuff. What's
the landscape like now? What's the environment like now? It seems like there are a lot of companies getting funding. Rocky just got $50 million. Zynga got another $15 million. Sesame got $25 million. Seems like people are putting money to work, a lot of money to work. So, of course, there are existing companies, but what do you see more activity? Do you see more interesting companies out there?
So the world, I think, from the venture investing perspective really changed beginning the end of last year when the market was kind of falling apart. We saw a lot of venture capitalists back off from making some investments. But one thing we do see is many of the top funds are just continuing their business, and they're looking for great companies. I think the quality of entrepreneurs and quality of new companies getting started is considerably better than it was a year and a half or 2 years ago. Entrepreneurs are looking at the environment, and they're only starting companies when they really believe they understand the risk that's involved. And 2 years ago, there was people starting companies saying, hey, let's all start a company. It's easy. Somebody will give us some money. So now you see just people who really are dedicated to what they're doing, starting companies. I don't think that there's any increase in funding that's going on. The numbers would say there's some decrease, but the number of firms that are investing has gone down quite a bit. There's still great companies being started. I think it's a much more interesting time to invest in companies during a strong downturn or a deep downturn because there's less competitors. You know, you brought up Project Farabid before. Great that they got funded. If it was the end of 2007, there'd be 10 that get funded. And now there's, you know, one market leader called Swoopo, and there's one upstart who's got venture funding to try and compete with them. I think the market has changed quite a bit, and I think it's for the company's benefit, the venture investors' benefit, and the company's benefit. The companies don't have to deal with 10 funded competitors.
Well, on the flip side of that, we're going to talk about whether there's going to be fewer VCs in the industry, just like there are fewer companies to invest in. So, Howard, thanks for that interview, and you're going to stick around for the next one.
Okay.
I've been speaking with Howard Hartenbaum. I'm Bambi Francisco.